Karl Marx was not just a thinker, he was a storm. His words questioned everything: power, wealth, freedom, and the very system we live in. Here are 100 of his most unforgettable quotes. History is the story of class struggles, written in the blood of the oppressed. The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles. From the slave and master to the serf and lord, conflict has shaped the world. Every society carries within it the seeds of its own transformation. Human beings make history, but not under conditions of their own choosing. Material life determines consciousness more than consciousness determines life. Philosophy has only interpreted the world. The point, however, is to change it. Man is the ensemble of social relations. Our ideas are products of material conditions, not gifts of divine origin. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world. Religion is the opium of the people, soothing suffering while preserving chains. The first premise of all history is the existence of living human beings. Society does not consist of individuals, but expresses the sum of their relations. Human essence is not abstract, it is real, rooted in practical life. Freedom is not the absence of necessity, but the mastery of it. The wealth of societies depends on human labor, not on the brilliance of markets. Labor is the source of all value. Commodities hide behind them the sweat and suffering of workers. The value of a commodity is measured by the socially necessary labor time. Capital is dead labor that lives only by sucking living labor. Money is the alienated essence of human labor and power. Wages are but the disguise of exploitation. The worker becomes poorer the more wealth he produces. Machinery, instead of shortening labor, enslaves the worker more deeply. Capitalism turns human relations into relations of things. Profit is nothing but the unpaid labor of workers. The ruling ideas of every age are the ideas of the ruling class. Private property is the result and the cause of alienated labor. Capital accumulation is the concentration of wealth in fewer hands. The circulation of commodities conceals the exploitation beneath. The bourgeoisie has reduced personal worth to exchange value. Under capitalism, everything becomes a commodity, even human life. Capitalist production begets its own gravediggers. Surplus value is the secret of capitalist wealth. The worker sells not only his labor, but his very existence. The history of class struggles is a history of revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Workers of the world, unite. The bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing production. Constant revolutionizing of production shakes all social conditions. All that is solid melts into air. The state is but a committee for managing the common affairs of the bourgeoisie. Political power is merely the organized power of one class for oppressing another. Law is the will of the ruling class made into rule. The emancipation of the working class must be the act of the workers themselves. The proletariat is the revolutionary class destined to overthrow capitalism. Revolution is the midwife of history. The weapons of criticism cannot replace the criticism of weapons. Force is the midwife of every old society pregnant with the new. Without class struggle, there is no progress in history. The emancipation of humanity is tied to the emancipation of labor. The proletariat is the heart of social revolution. The downfall of the bourgeoisie and the victory of the proletariat are inevitable. Each ruling class, once revolutionary, becomes conservative in power. The state will wither away in the higher phase of communism. True freedom begins only where labor determined by necessity ceases. The proletariat seeks not revenge but liberation of humanity. The struggle of classes is the motor of history. The liberation of workers is inseparable from the liberation of all society. Communism is the real movement abolishing the present state of things. The theory of communism may be summed up in one sentence: abolition of private property. In place of the old society with classes and class antagonisms, we shall have an association of free individuals. Communism is not an ideal to which reality must conform, it is the real movement. In communist society, the free development of each is the condition for the free development of all. The worker will not merely be a machine, but a full human being. Communism liberates humanity from exploitation and alienation. Freedom will mean participation in the collective shaping of society. In communism, labor becomes life's prime want, not its curse. Communism replaces competition with cooperation. It abolishes the exploitation of man by man. It abolishes classes, replacing them with human solidarity. True democracy is possible only in communism. The withering away of the state means the end of political domination. In communism, the distribution of goods follows, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. The alien separation between individual and community will disappear. The world market will be replaced by a world community. Communism is the end of prehistory and the beginning of true human history. In communism, wealth is measured by human fulfillment, not commodities. The aim of communism is not equality in poverty but equality in freedom. The revolution is not a dream, but the necessity of history. A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. The proletariat must organize as a class, and then as a ruling class. Communism does not rob anyone of power, it restores power to humanity. The old world is pregnant with the new, communism is its birth. The philosophers of the past armed us with thought, we must arm ourselves with action. Knowledge without action is sterile. Theory becomes a material force when it grips the masses. Ideas alone cannot change the world, organized struggle can. The emancipation of women is inseparable from social emancipation. Capitalism creates crises it cannot resolve. The contradictions of capitalism are the engines of its downfall. Each generation makes history, but inherits the burdens of the past. The struggle for justice is eternal. Human liberation requires solidarity beyond nations. The chains of exploitation can be broken only by collective power. Communism is not the end of struggle, but the beginning of true human freedom. Humanity's destiny is not to be ruled, but to rule itself. The future belongs to those who dare to create a new world. Workers of all lands, unite for humanity's liberation.